I'm calling this meeting of the City Council of the Town of Silver City to order. Would you please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. We'd like to welcome everybody here tonight. The first item on the agenda requiring action is public input. And I see that there are 4 people that are signed up. And the first one is Nancy Cliff. And would you press the little white button there to make sure the microphone's on?
Hello, I'm Nancy Cliff, and I'm happy to be here this evening and talk to council members, staff, ladies and gentlemen of the community. 3 of us will be addressing you briefly about matters concerning trails. I'm here specifically to request that you find funds to fill the too long vacant town position of Trails and Open Space Coordinator. As you may recall, the town did have such an employee in the early 2000s, but the position has been vacant for over a decade. Hiring a Trails and Open Space Coordinator is a cost-effective, reasonable solution to a number of ongoing predicaments. Silver City needs a Trails and Open Space Coordinator. The hundreds of acres of open space and the miles of trails, both in town limits and beyond, are an outstanding asset to the community, its citizens, and visitors. Trails and open spaces provide opportunities for free, easily accessed exercise for people of all ages and abilities. Getting outside to walk, hike, and bike promotes health and well-being, assists with maintaining healthy weight and overcoming chronic disease, and sets habits for lifelong fitness and vitality. It's unusual for a New Mexico town as small as Silver City to have a trails and open space system. A well-maintained system will attract people to visit Silver City on a year-round basis, generating much-needed revenue. Boston Hill and San Vicente Creek contain elements of Silver City's history that visitors can explore, similar to what they can do in our historic districts and museum. The trails within the town limits are feeder routes for the Continental Divide Trail and many other adjacent areas suitable for recreation. I would also point out that when companies evaluate areas for development, they look at a locality's range of amenities. While Silver City has devoted itself to creating a greenways plan and other more comprehensive trails and open space documents, without hiring someone to implement them, they aren't worth much. Someone employed by the town must be in responsible charge of seeing that the trails are built, are safe, and are well maintained. Of additional concern is existing infrastructure, which has undergone significant and expanding deterioration since construction. In the years the coordinator position has been vacant, trails and open space have been largely unregulated. Instead, citizen groups have assumed some of those tasks. Recently, however, there has been a bit of a breakdown in what had been operating rather smoothly. More trails groups have sprung up, pursuing somewhat different objectives and methods. This leads at least to a fragmentation of effort, and more seriously to some potential conflicts. Volunteers can only be expected to do so much. Unfortunately, I have a real-world personal example. During the construction of the Route 90 bridge, I attended nearly every monthly update meeting. Mary Alice can attest to this. Primarily to demonstrate support for suitable rehabilitation of the San Vicente Trailhead following completion of the project. Once that time came, DOT and the contractor were not responsive, and the result has been extremely disappointing. If a coordinator had been in place, this unhappy outcome would have been much less likely. Moreover, the 2 town employees, Denise Smith and James Marshall, who have served as conduits for our concerns, are devoting their efforts more thoroughly to other matters. This comes at a time of increased illegal camping on public property, especially that which abuts the San Vicente Creek. It also seems we are at a critical juncture in terms of resolving long-standing right-of-way issues and potential property acquisitions. Finally, there are opportunities for securing funding in the form of grants and similar programs to actually develop more and better trails and greenways. President Trump has promised increased expenditure on infrastructure, which we might assume includes trails. A Trails and Open Space Coordinator would be involved in local, state, and regional transportation planning to leverage those funds. We would suggest that you recruit someone as a half-time employee to work as Trails and Open Space Coordinator in the Office of Sustainability. He or she would work with relevant federal, state, and county agencies, nonprofit groups, and individuals to meet established goals, write grant applications as appropriate, promote safe use of trails and open spaces, see that these are monitored for safety and security, initiate negotiations with adjoining landowners to make agreements for conservation or other forms of easement. In other words, he or she would present a consistent, coherent point of contact. Isn't this a better solution to growing problems than haphazard, unreliable, and ultimately non-existent coordination? Thank you. And as my last mention, all are welcome to the CDT Greenways meeting next Thursday, February 2nd, 3 p.m., third floor seminar room, Student Memorial Building. Are there any questions?
Thank you, Nancy, very much. Next on the sheet is Shelby Hallmark.
Okay, this is on, right? Mr. Mayor, councilors, I'm Shelby Hallmark. I'm a Silver City resident and a member of the Greenways CDT linkage group, like Nancy. And I want to speak about trails as well this evening. To its credit, the town of Silver City has formally approved a number of plans and proposals for trails and open spaces over the years. In addition to the wonderful Boston Hill acquisition, we have the Big Ditch and Greenways master plan that, if implemented, would provide citizens and visitors to Silver City with an extensive, leafy network of trails that would reconnect our currently fractured town. And we're also an official CDT gateway community by action of this council. Nancy has pointed out the need for an employee of the town specifically focused on trails and open spaces, but there are other impediments to building out the trail systems that we've planned. The most obvious being funding, but perhaps the most difficult hurdle is the complex process of gaining right-of-way access to the trail routes the town has approved and that we'd all like to see built. Because the Greenways follows our arroyos, they cut through the back edges of dozens of private properties. And even though once built, public trails actually add value and increase security for private properties that they border, negotiating agreements with all of these owners is time-consuming and complicated. We urge the town to move forward with those negotiations now, though, for the entire Greenways plan. Even though building out the whole Greenways plan has been estimated at less than $1 million, acquiring capital funding requires tenacity, imagination, and the ability to strike when the iron is hot. Granting agencies want projects that are truly shovel-ready. So having the time-consuming right-of-way issues resolved in advance greatly increases the chances that our project will win out over those of Chama or Alamogordo or Deming. Not that we don't like those towns, they're good places too. The Greenway CDT linkage group has been urging the town to move ahead on the first section of the plan, namely the San Vicente Trail and the segments that will connect it to the Big Ditch on one end and the golf course and the ball fields on the other. We understand the complexities. For example, many properties in and around the historic district were laid out in the 19th century without the benefit of GPS. So accomplishing legal paperwork for easements or ceding land to the town is definitely an art form. But it can be done if the will is there to make the dream that we build these trails a reality. Property owners can certainly help by cooperating with the town on fair and equitable arrangements for easements or similar arrangements. Several transfer alternatives can result in the owners receiving tax credits for these public-minded transactions, in addition to the knowledge that they've done something significant to benefit their neighbors and the whole community. Trails are good for the town and for property owners. and we want to broadcast that message far and wide. When this council approved the Greenways Plan 3 years ago, you affirmed the multiple benefits it can bring. We all know tourism and relocation, as Nancy said, is the logical third leg of our economic stool, along with the mines and agriculture. Adding a beautiful walking and biking network magnifies our existing attractions. The Gila, the CDT, our wonderful arts and history historic district, Boston Hill. Folks who come to visit the cliff dwellings are looking for other things to see and do. And the addition of the Greenways will make our town more livable, better connected, and healthier for all our citizens too, not just for visitors. Few projects have so many and so varied benefits. Few investment opportunities have so much potential for return at so little overall cost. Yet despite its logic, despite the enthusiasm of this council and one mayor after another, and despite the efforts of town staff and enlightened owners and numerous volunteers, progress has been slow. Excuse me. We urge the mayor and the council to take action to prioritize the Greenway effort, reestablish a Trails and Open Space Coordinator, and make the Trails Network a reality. Because the biggest impediment to building these trails is neither money, excuse me, nor right-of-way issues. It's finding the will to make these improvements actually happen. Where there's a will, there's a way. If you'll take up this challenge and see it through, our citizens, our visitors, and our posterity will thank you. And I thank you.
Thank you very much. AJ?
Good evening, Mayor and Town Council members. Thank you for the opportunity to make public comment this evening. I am AJ Sandoval. I work for Gila Resources Information Project. One of the hats I wear is coordinator of the Silver City Watershed Keepers. The Silver City Watershed Keepers is a volunteer environmental quality monitoring group that helps protect our local Silver City watershed through monitoring, community outreach, and education. Our efforts provide quality data and build stewardship of the Silver City watershed. The Silver City Watershed Keepers has successfully advocated for the cleanup of the San Vicente tailings that contaminated surface water. We also coordinated trash cleanups, trail maintenance days, and advocate for the development of trails to complete the Greenways plan and ask for continued maintenance of existing trails. One of the major issues confronting the Silver City watershed is illegal dumping. Our Silver City Watershed Keepers organize volunteer cleanup events in Big Ditch and San Vicente Creek. We find that these areas are continuously used as illegal dumping sites. We have observed that dumping continues even after areas are cleaned up. A coordinated education program is needed to abate this problem. I recently met with town code enforcement officers, and they told me that the area south of the Big Ditch Park and along San Vicente Creek Trail are the most problematic areas for illegal dumping. Not only has illegal dumping diminished the recreational experience of our Silver City Greenways trail system, but it has also threatened the water quality of the San Vicente Creek. One of the major tributaries that recharges our groundwater and the northern Uintas Basin aquifer. As you know, our town ordinance outlined in Chapter 40 on solid waste prohibits littering and dumping, defined as disposing of solid waste or any discarded material on property within the town which is private, disposing of solid waste or discarding any other items on public place or any public property or facility, allowing refuse to collect or accumulate on any privately owned or other premises within the town. Town ordinance covering park and recreation, Chapter 36, prohibit disposal of refuse or trash and any water in or contingent to any park or left anywhere on the grounds thereof. The Silver City Watershed Keepers is committed to doing our part to educate our community about the impacts of illegal dumping on our water resources, environment, trails, and parks. We want to work with the town on this important issue. We are collaborating with the Office of Sustainability on developing an illegal dumping campaign to raise awareness of this problem, and we'll continue to work with our partners to clean up this area. We also feel that a Trails and Open Space coordinator would coordinate with code enforcement on finding solutions to dumping in these areas and can manage grants and programs for cleanup and education. Signs and receptacles at trailheads are also an important part of maintaining a clean trail. A coordinator is important in securing these and coordinating resources to ensure that trash is picked up from these receptacles and that the town has signs on littering and illegal dumping as related to the town ordinances and are visible for citizens to view. I'm working with the Town of Silver City's Office of Sustainability on looking for grants to address illegal dumping in this area. But with a staff of 2 half-time employees, the office is stretched for time. This would be a great office to house a coordinator of trails and open spaces, as the staff here has the knowledge on these issues, and these efforts support the mission of their office. I support those who have spoken before me in stating a need for this position to manage trails and open spaces that the Town of Silver City owns. Thank you very much for your consideration of my comments.
Thank you, AJ. Mr. McLeod?
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and councilors. I'm here basically in support of the last 3 people who spoke. I think trails are very important for our town and for our county. I'm concerned that a number of the trails are unfinished. They're not complete. For example, I walk up on Boston Hill up Spring Street, and there's a big posted sign right in the middle of the trail. It seems to me that the town could work to alleviate that problem of private ownership up there. Also, if you go down San Vicente, the trail basically is not complete down to a road down below as it follows the creek. Also, there's a riparian zone under the new bridge that's very bare. It's not a riparian zone anymore. It got basically taken out by the bridge construction, and I would like to see the town deal with that issue. On another issue, I would like to ask Chief Reynolds to address the issue of speeding in Silver City. It seems like this is an issue that comes up on a regular basis, and I'd like to know what's going on that issue. And also, what about the intersection of Broadway and Bullard? I thought that was going to be a 4-way stop intersection, and as far as I know, the town agreed to that months ago, and it's still a traffic light there. So thank you for the opportunity to comment.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. Next item is council comments. Councilor Amon Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First of all, I want to thank everyone for coming. It's really much more encouraging to have citizens here than to have an empty room. And it looks to me like Mary Alice and John Crow are going to get scoops on tonight's meeting, because it looks like they're the press folks available. I want to encourage folks to go vote for any, all the citizens of Silver City should be voting on the school board issue, because actually it's not just school board, there are bond issues, and we've spoken about that briefly before. I also want to encourage citizens who are in districts 1 and 3 to go to town hall and begin early voting on January 31st. It is, your vote is your voice. Changing subjects briefly here. You guys have heard the term maybe fake news. Well, Silver City has its own fake news. And I don't seem to be always in the fake news chain, but now and again, constituents will call me up and want to know if something is true. So I want to publicly debunk some rumors tonight. So the first debunking. Yes, the town is continuing to recycle. In fact, projects are underway to make it easier to recycle. Our town is committed to a sustainable and resilient future and to prudent use of resources and our taxpayer money. And the more materials we recycle, the less go into our landfill, saving us all money over time. So if you ever hear any rumors about all of recycling being banned, tell them, shut up. That's not true. Check with the Office of Sustainability, which I always call the Office of Saving You Money, and they will tell you the truth. The second rumor, no, the materials from the demolition of the Red Barn was not hazardous to the health of the neighborhood. You will note that as demolition progressed, various materials were sorted into piles by the contractor. Some were actually resold, the metals. Some were recycled. Some will end up safely in a landfill. And I have right here a report from a certified asbestos testing laboratory on the 106 samples that were taken from that demolition. And if you want to go see a copy, you certainly can. Just go to our community development office. And I want to let you know, no, there was no scary stuff being released in the neighborhood. So have no fear, please. If you ever have any questions or concerns about a demolition project or about any kind of construction project going on, please go talk to our building inspector. I had a wonderful meeting with him. He's really, really up on the code. He's really, really active, and he really wants to be engaged. So I'm also hoping that if you have any other rumors that you want to have checked out, go ahead and put me in the loop.
Thank you, Councilman Smith. Councilman Benson?
Thank you, Mayor. I too want to thank everyone for speaking tonight, and also for the really great crowd. It's great to have everybody here. And more. So please come back, not just this one time. Please do come and participate in the meetings. In terms of recycling, I want to make sure that everybody knows that working with the Town of Silver City's Office of Sustainability and also with the Community Development Department and with Mr. Scavron, I am putting forward, there'll be an NOI to amend our ordinance on waste. Well, at some point. It's not this meeting, and we don't have it ready yet. But I just wanted to make sure you know that we were putting recycling in everything, and that is in order to make sure that with what we've been working on with the town purchasing brand new recycling, what do you call them, tubs or carts? Yeah. Carts, the carts.
The residential carts.
Great. So, yes, there is recycling, and this has been one of my things that I've wanted to do, is to make sure that we had covered carts like your garbage cans that dedicated to recycling that you could fill up, rather than have the open bins that stuff flies out of. So that is coming soon to a neighborhood near you in the town. But it takes us a little bit of time to get everything in the correct pathway, and I think we also have to purchase, or unless we have already done that, side loader pickup.
They're already here.
Everything's here, so we're just trying to get it organized, right? Do we have an idea of when that might happen, Alex?
We're going to start taking out the commercial tubs the next week. We're going to start delivering them. Should take a couple weeks. Then the residential, we're going to start delivering them once we're done with the commercial. And we're going to put some material with it so that they know that when we're going to officially start picking it up.
And what can go in them?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, actually, part of the container shows you what you can put in them.
Oh, great. Great. So it is coming. No, we haven't stopped recycling. I just want to reiterate what my colleague has said. We continue to do it. Yes, there is no glass recycling at the present time. It is part of landfill, and someday we hope to correct that, but at this point it's too costly for us to gather and have someone, it's almost as if we have to pay them to get it. So, and that's too costly for the town to do right now, but there's always hope for the future. So just wanted to make sure everybody knew that we are working steadily towards something that has been in the works for a number of years. So thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councilman Benson. Councilman Kano?
Thank you, Mayor. I just have one quick announcement. The newly renamed Copper Country Senior Olympics are gearing up for the 2017 season. If you're over the age of 50, we welcome you to come and participate and to compete in local games. In 2019, the national games are going to be held in Albuquerque, so a lot of senior Olympians are getting excited and getting ready to try to make it to nationals. If you're under the age of 50 and you're interested in being involved with a really dynamic group of individuals, Coordinator Mario Quintana is always looking for people to help with event management. So if you're interested in doing that, you can either contact myself or you can contact Mario Quintana. Pretty much everybody knows him. If you can't find him, he's usually at Q, so you can find him there. Also, the Copper Country Senior Olympics, I'm going to get used to that name eventually, is having their annual meeting, and anyone who's interested in participating or giving opinions or things like that can do so at the LULAC Hall on the 28th of January, which is this next coming Saturday at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Ray?
Thank you, Mayor. I want to, first of all, tell Mr. Brown and to give congratulations and give thanks to Demasio and the road crew for doing the work up there in the Catholic Cemetery. And also, I'll have some questions when staff reports come up for Mr. Brown and for the chief. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Does the council have any more comments? I just have a few. I want to thank the Trails Group for being here in force today. And also want to express appreciation to all of the work that you do in trying to further this effort. It's a cause that I believe in and a cause that all the council believes in and our city administration does. Mr. Marshall is out of town today, but perhaps when he's back in town, he's in Santa Fe. Maybe he could give us an update on what's going on in the trails. I also want to thank all of those who participated in the procession this weekend. We had some wonderful weather. No one worked up a sweat, I can assure you that. And thank you for promoting those causes. I also want to announce that this weekend, the university is having its annual Science Olympiad. And if you've never been to one, I encourage you to go. It's quite an experience. You'll see about 400 students from all around South New Mexico, junior high students and high school students participating in different science events. And it's a thing that you can actually walk around and watch. And you'll be amazed at some of the things these students come up with. And you can bring your children or grandchildren or friends or whoever. It would be a great experience. Okay. Next item on the agenda is changes to the agenda. Does the council want to make any changes to the agenda? Okay, no changes. The next item is approval of the minutes of the January 10th, 2016 regular meeting. Do I hear a motion?
Mr. Mayor.
Councilwoman Smith?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move to approve the minutes of the regular council meeting of the Town of Silver City of January 10th, 2017.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Mr. Mayor, second the motion as stated.
Councilor Bedison, thank you. Is there any discussion?
No, sir.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is reports. The first report is under item 8A, the annual High Desert Humane Society's report by Heidi Ogos. And as she's coming up, I would like to say, Heidi, we apologize for the mix-up at the last meeting. We actually put you on the agenda even though you had signed up for this one. So we apologize for that oversight, and we're looking forward to your report tonight.
Thank you. I'm just glad that we got it cleared up. So, and thank you, Mayor, Council, and staff. I am Heidi Ogos, the current president of the High Desert Humane Society. And we do have an agreement with the town of Silver City to house animals that are brought in from animal control and that are brought in from stray and owner turn-in. So that's the report that I have for you tonight. The first sheet that I'd like you to take a look at is the annual intake for 2016. And I won't read down all of them, but that gives you the breakdown by month for impounded animals, stray animals, and owner turn-in animals, and then the totals for dogs and cats. And if you'll take a look at the other sheet, which is the annual comparison, the yearly comparison sheet, it has the totals from 2007 up through 2016. And in 2016, dogs and cats intake did increase slightly from the years before. If you take a look at the graph, it does sort of go up and down periodically, and I'm not sure I can really answer why, but it did go back up. I would like to make the assumption that it went back up in 2016 because we have a new, very active animal control officer, and I know she has really been aggressively working on the feral cat populations. So I don't know factually, but I'd like to guess that that's part of the reason that it has increased in that year. We did take in $5,774 in licenses and $2,697.50 in impound fees. Before I go on, do you have any questions about those reports? There's a couple other things that I'd like to share with you from the Humane Society, things that we offer to the community. A lot of times questions come up about how long does an animal stay with us, and according to the current ordinance, an animal that comes in as a stray or an impound will stay with us for 3 to 4 days, depending on whether it's licensed or not, unless it goes into rabies quarantine. After the 3 to 4 days, then the animal can be released to our custody and can be determined whether it's an adoptable animal so that it could be moved into adoption. And at that point, it could stay a long time. We've had animals 6-7 months with us. So in answering that question, I know that comes up a lot. A couple other things that you should have is you should have gotten a little HALT card that talks about our spay and neuter program and how to get a coupon. In 2016, we helped with the cost of spaying over 800 dogs and cats in the community. And that does not include the animals that are adopted from us. They are spayed and neutered before they leave as long as they're of age. But in 2016, we helped with over 800 animals. And this particular card has the information about the city ordinance, which does require spay and neutering on it. Something else I'd like to share is that we recently upgraded our crematorium, and I'd like the community to know that we do offer pet cremations, both communal and private cremations, and we have a memorial wall on our property where you can purchase a small plaque to honor your lost pet. We also offer a reduced fee vaccination clinic on the second Saturday of every month, and we offer various different types of vaccinations along with microchipping. You can have your dog or cat microchipped for $25. We also, this one I added to at the last minute today. This is just a little note on our Paws Cause thrift shop, which is at 108 North Bullard Street. And that, you can come in and donate your gently used items, or you can come in and shop for a wonderful new treasure. And the money from that thrift store is what supports our HALT program for spay and neuter. Also, I'd like everyone to know that in the next 10 years, we have a goal of building a new adoption center. This new adoption center would offer better long-term care for the animals that do stay with us. They would have indoor-outdoor runs. There would also be socialization areas where people could meet with an animal, and we could hopefully better match the animals up with their new prospective family. So that is a goal for the next 10 years, to try to build a new adoption center. And one last thing on the recycling topic. If you don't want to take your aluminum cans down to the landfill for the recycling, or if you don't want to put them in your recycling bin, we will gladly take them. That is one of our ongoing fundraisers. All you have to do is drop them off at the Humane Society, and we turn them in for the cash, and that's one of our big supporters of the Humane Society. Do you have any?
I just want to support, when you recycle, we don't get the added benefit of recycling aluminum, which are added value products. So when you recycle them to organizations like this, you get a lot more bang for your buck if you want to separate them out. So I'd encourage people to do that, because the landfill, we don't get anything more for the cans like this. So I'd encourage everybody to do that.
Thank you. Yes.
Council Benison?
Ms. Elvas, have you heard about I think I talked about it when I returned from being in Hobbs for the Municipal League's annual convention this past year, and they have an incredible adoption center that they did with combination of their Humane Society, but also working with the city. And I was completely impressed with it, because they're actually, with the exception of diseased animals and that there's no way to help them any further, they're a no-kill shelter. And it's just something that I would encourage you to talk with them, their Humane Society, about the model that they developed in conjunction with the town and the county, because it was really impressive. We had a service day there, and they have different intakes for animals that are sick that can be made well. They have vet visits for them. When we were there, over 1,000 vaccinations were given, and they do that a couple times a month. And it was pouring rain, and people stood to get vaccinations. And because of contributions, they were free. So all of the animals were vaccinated. So it took them a long time to get there, and they're quite honest about it when they talked with the folks from the Municipal League that attended and participated in the day of volunteerism. But it was impressive, and just a recommendation that you talk with the folks in Hobbs.
Yes, thank you. Actually, we have been speaking with the people in Hobbs, also in Alamogordo, and then of course Santa Fe, even though Santa Fe is quite different from our community, but they have a state-of-the-art center. And so we have been talking about those. I don't have a specific date set yet, but I will be doing a presentation in February called "What is No-Kill Really, and How Close Are We?" Because when you really look at the statistics, considering that we do take in a lot of animals that are not adoptable, if you do look at the adoptable animals, we're almost there as far as no-kill goes.
Well, that would be wonderful. I know that one of the things the Hobbs Center does is they have a whole group of private pilots and private citizens that actually will transport dogs to other no-kill shelters for adoption. So they get a lot of people from Texas coming over and dropping off their dogs and their cats. So it's an impressive, like, once again, I keep saying that word, but it really was about the way the Humane Society has really built that up and what they have done, and they are to be commended for what they've done. They spent the time and their money to do it.
It is a model program. And we do have a team of volunteers that will help deliver animals to other shelters and to rescues. Part of the the problem we're running into is that so many of them are full and not taking animals in. We do have an exchange program that we do with the Deming Animal Shelter, because a lot of times maybe we have all big dogs and they have all small dogs, so we'll do some trade-off and swap some small ones for some large ones so that we have a better selection and they have a better selection. So, and we've done that with Las Cruces as well. And there's a small rescue in Lordsburg that we work with also on trading out animals and helping them out there.
Well, thank you for your report and the future possibilities that exist.
Yes, I have a big dream that someday we will have that.
Great, thank you.
Any other questions from council? Again, thank you very much, and thank you for all your work and the good things you're accomplishing out there. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item is 8B, report on the town's Territorial Charter Day celebration. And a report will be given by Mr. Raul Torrieta, a member of the task force.
I promise I won't talk about valuation or taxes or cap or any of that stuff, right there, Mayor? All right, for starters, my name is Raul Torrieta, and I'm actually part of the task force, and I would like for her to introduce herself.
I'm Andy Portillo, the museum educator at the Silver City Museum.
So I guess Carmen wasn't able to make it today, so I thought we'd just do like a little 5-page presentation on that, okay? For starters, I would like to introduce Sissy McAndrews. She's part of the task force. And actually it's Lucy Whitmoss, Sissy McAndrews, Kelly Kennington, Faye McEvan, Carmen Vendelin, Elaine Sullivan, Kevin Cook, Kevin Lechner, Scott Terry, and myself, Raul Torrieta. So I guess we just started this committee probably about a month ago, so we're gonna put things together here. This is quite interesting. They asked me to get a map of the original Silver City town site, and out of my mineral survey maps, I actually pulled this out, and it's quite interesting to see that when it says January 31st of 1874, that's when it was originally surveyed. So and then I went and put a couple copies on your. And I thought I'd put a little photograph of downtown Silver City, but it wasn't in 1878, so that was probably in the early 1912s. Okay, the celebration. Let's talk about the celebration of the Territorial Charter Day. It's going to be on Saturday, February 18th, and the scheduled event is going to kick off at Silver City Museum at 312 West Bullitt Street. 10:30 a.m. is presentation of the Silver City Territorial Charter and introducing by Mr. Ken Latner. Following by tradition music performing by Dan Cordova. A brief history of the New Mexico State song. At 1:30 to 3:30, joins the Las Cruces based artist Pamela Enriquez Quartz to create their own miniature wooden retablo. Adults and children are welcome. The workshop is for free, and it's suggested maybe a $5 donation. Registration is required with the maximum class of capacity of 20 people. Call at 575-538-5921 or send an email to education@silvercitymuseum.org to register. 1 o'clock, we do have a hike at Boston Hill and the historical mining site, and they will be talking about the mining area there at the manganese mines. Hiking tour conducted by Selden Cook. Meet at the Cooper Street Trailhead. There will be about 2-hour hike and moderate strength, so please be dressed up just like you did Saturday there, Mayor. Call up inside at 575-538-9001. And we're going to have a bizcocho bake sale and bake contest at the Javelina Coffee Shop. And I know we have the bizcocho queen back here, Mrs. Cano. She's probably made about a couple thousand millions of them, I don't know, but I'm so glad that we have somebody that knows about this. At 9:30 a.m., we have the bake sale, traditional New Mexico State cookie baked from traditional family recipes. And if you're interested in taking part of the bake sale, please contact Brandy at 575-534-1700 or email the Downtown Silver City. gmail.com. At 4 o'clock, the Bizcocho Baking Contest. Winner will receive $50 from the Main Street gift certificate, and we'll probably be looking for some judges, and I know there's one of them in this building, so I'm just going to leave that one go. So here we actually have the traditional Charter Day celebration for the Bizcocho, and they're all going to be on the website, and here's the application if you guys want to participate on the Bizcocho. So final, I was just showing this to Councilor Lupe Cano, and it's quite interesting. Matter of fact, I want to get this over to the museum. That's actually the valuation book of 1893, just of Silver City itself, and the book is intact. And Lupe got to take a look at it, and Annie, and it's quite interesting when you look at it, and the book is only zip thick when it broke down in the tutorial, so I thought I'd just bring that up. And I have a lot of other information of historians and stuff there for the assessor's office. So we just have a couple notes. Anybody can join the task force. You can call Lucy at 575-574-1700. And we are going to have every year annual celebration for Silver City Charter. And attire, if any way possible, could you guys wear anything from 1878? You can pull some out of your closet of 1878. And for the celebration, we will have a group picture in front of the museum. And actually, the last celebration was in 1927. And I do believe in 2017, we have Ken Ladner as our mayor. Welcome, Mayor. Does anybody have any questions on any of this?
Just a couple of comments first. Are you going to put this information in the paper and all of the things you went through with phone numbers and stuff like that, so people who want to...
Yes, well, we got everything else here, so I'm going to ship it on over to her right off the bat. And I'll just email it to her, and then I'll email it to the newspapers. That is correct, sir.
Councilor Cunningham?
Okay, well, first of all, the last celebration was actually last year.
Oh, yes, well...
So it needs to be corrected before it's sent to the press, please, because it was actually Mayor Morones that got...
Well, he actually used the proclamation, that's right.
So that needs to be corrected. I just have a couple of questions. This Bizcocho bake sale, who is going to get the profits from that? What is it benefiting?
Actually, it's going to go to the museum.
Okay.
And that's what it's going to for the foundation for the museum.
Okay. And then I have some questions about this artist that's coming. Is she from the area?
She's actually from Las Cruces.
She's from Las Cruces?
Yes.
Okay. Retablo making is not necessarily a Silver City tradition either. I can name 2 retablo artists in the past 100 years. So I'm kind of curious as to how we ended up with retablo making for this with an artist that's not even from that county.
When we had the task force, we actually was moving things pretty rapidly because the 18th of February is coming, right down the road. So, yeah, we'll talk about that more down the road on that.
Just for future reference, if you do pick something that's pretty specialized like that, you should maybe look at if there's local people who can do that.
Okay.
Because there are a couple that are very well known that are from Silver City that could have done that. Yeah, okay, that's it for now. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and I appreciate the correction on the 16th. As a matter of fact, I just read the proclamation of 2016 in February. As a matter of fact, I would just like to say that the town of Silver City came up with a proclamation for, I guess, the 16th of February, and the county commission is going to also have theirs. I also got a hold of our senator, where he's actually going to do one for the state for Grant County Day come February the 1st. Any other questions?
I just got a quick note here. There's a car alarm going off somewhere. So.
You don't hear it?
That's in the building.
Mr. Toyota, I want to thank y'all for taking on this project at such a late day. We had announced it a couple of times in council meetings trying to solicit volunteers.
Yes.
They didn't come in quite as quick as we thought. This year, we're going to start in summertime for the next celebration. And
hopefully,
for 2018. Councilor Cano has volunteered to help with that.
Absolutely.
And so we're going to try to get an article in the paper and solicit volunteers to help with that effort. And hopefully next year, it can be bigger and grander.
I think, excuse me, but I think we'll probably start the committee probably like in September or October, so we can have a good run on it.
And one other thing I want to say is that we have the original 4 counselors who passed that resolution. And at that meeting Saturday morning, when it kicked off at the library, I haven't had a chance to talk to him yet. I've dropped by a few times, but he's been busy, obviously. But I'm going to see if ex-Mayor Moronis can be there. And that way, hopefully, we'll have the whole council that was involved in that process.
Well, that would be fantastic. And thank you, Dr. Connor, for joining the group, and we're going to have a good time.
Thank you.
Would you like to say anything else?
Just that we will have a copy of the charter also available on view in the museum.
Like I said, we'll have the original charter on that. Thank you very much, and I really appreciate your time, and you guys have a great evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is staff reports. Mr. Brown?
The only report that we had was the chief's annual report, but apparently we dodged a bullet because he's trying to turn off the... We dodged a bullet.
Do we need
a short break?
Let's take a break, yeah. About a 5-minute break.
Mr. Mayor, let's do a motion.
Yeah.
Move for a short break.
I second
the motion.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Call our meeting to order. Chief Reynolds?
Mayor and City Council, thank you for allowing me time to, I apologize, present the statistical information from the Silver City Police Department for the year 2006. And it, for the most part, it'll be in comparison to 2016 to 2015. The presentation will probably take about 15 minutes, hopefully. I'll try and go as quickly as possible. I know statistical information can be very boring. I threw a few jokes in here, so I'll try and keep it going a little light. I'm kidding. There's no jokes in here. It's just blab. The 2016 statistical information derived from the Department of Records Crime Management System, revealed reports, and court documentation. Contributing staff to this report are the secretaries, records clerk, administrative staff for field services and investigative services. The number of calls for service increased in 2016 over 2015 by 680, which was a 5.12% increase. 2016 calls for service were 13,970 compared to 13,290 calls for service in 2015. This is the second year we have seen an increase in calls for service. As a side note, 2015 saw a 1.85% increase over 2014. 2014 calls for service was 13,049. The number of self-initiated activities by officers decreased over 2015 by 857. That would be 27,082 compared to 27,939, which shows some stabilization. As in the previous year, the officer's performance for the year is contributed to the programs put forth to impact problematic areas where trends developed in property crimes and crashes. As an example, we target areas where we see an increase in burglaries. Another example is more focused enforcement in high crash areas such as intersections. Overall, the indicated statistical information has decreased in most areas documented. 13 areas compared to 6 areas that showed an increase. Overall, the indicated index crimes such as murder, forcible rape, robbery, simple and aggravated assault, burglary, larceny, and stolen motor vehicles has increased from 867 in 2015 to 923 in 2016. 2014 was at 929. As indicated in the provided packet on page 1, larceny continues to be the highest of the aforementioned 8 crimes. Larceny showed an increase of 51 in 2016 over 2015. The total larcenies for 2016 are 524 compared to 473 for 2015. There was an increase in 10.78% between 2015 and 2016. If you will refer to the middle section of page 4, I gave you an additional document that is numbered at the bottom. If you refer to the middle section of that page, your documentation, you will see a breakdown in the larceny categories. Shoplifting continues to be one of the highest forms of larceny occurring within our jurisdiction. 333 in 2016 compared to 285 in 2015. As an added comparison, 2014 was 247. So we've continued to have an increase over the last 3 years. The categories of larceny remain virtually the same in other areas. Any questions about that? Now again, one thing that I want to make clear, vehicle thefts, those are actual vehicle burglaries that have a separate category under the Uniform Crime Reporting System. Yes?
I just have one question. On the ratio of citations to warnings, which increased 82%, is this as a result of a consciously directed program, or what do you attribute that to?
This is further into my documentation. The one that you're looking at is for animal control citations issue. If you take a look at animal complaints, which was 1141 compared to the previous year at 1186, the total number of citations issued by our ACO, our animal control officer, was at 233 compared to 128 the previous year. Now, please keep in mind, I believe we had animal control officer for approximately 9 months in 2015. So there was a reduction in citations issued for that year.
Chief, in terms of the vehicle thefts, is that what you said there? Are they burglaries or thefts? I'm sorry, what was the proper term? If a motor vehicle is stolen, what is it? Is it a theft or a burglary?
Under the USAR reporting, any theft from a motor vehicle falls into that.
Theft from a motor vehicle.
It can be something stolen out of the back of a pickup truck, which is considered just a regular larceny, or a vehicle can be entered illegally, which is considered a burglary.
So my question to you, because there's been so much on the news out of Albuquerque about the fact that people are, letting their cars warm up, and then vehicles are being stolen on an average of 2 per day. Do we have that sort of problem in Silver City?
No, we don't.
Thank you.
In the last year, I apologize. In the last year, I remember one vehicle out of the 19 that were stolen was because it was getting warmed up and was taken. The rest of the vehicles that were stolen, and please keep in mind that vehicles considered trailers, regular vehicles, motorcycles.
Okay.
So those 19 thefts are a variety of types of motor vehicles.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
The Domestic violence saw a lower overall reporting rate in 2016 by 3.72%, from 537 in 2015 to 517 in 2016. This is the second year in a row which saw a decrease. 2014 was at 549. If we will refer to page 4 again, the last section of this page shows the number of offense reports prepared out of those 517 calls for service, which was 149, and the number of arrests for domestic violence, which was 140, in comparison to 2015, which was 137 and 101. Additionally, on this page, arrests were down by 8.83%. That would be from 1611 in 2016 compared to 1767 in 2015. This has been a 2-year trend. There was 2,085 in 2014. Citations, all categories, saw a drop of 13.92% from 7,234 in 2015 to 6,227 in 2016. And I'll go ahead and cover the question that was raised. If you refer to page 11 of your documentation, that shows the approximate breakdown of citations issued. During the year, there was 589 citations, 589 citations issued for speeding, compared to the previous year, 546. 2014, there was 2,062. Now, the change that has occurred in the number of citations issued is that we've become more focused in the types of citations and traffic stops that we make. In your documentation, there's also a page that shows other calls for service, which, if you take a look at the documentation as a total, and I'll cover this real quick, if you take a look at the documentation covered as total activity for the department, where the department stays very busy. We answer quite a range of calls for service. We handle crashes, we handle property crimes, we handle citizen contacts. It's all contained in this documentation. So having the ability to focus on specific violations, traffic violations that impact our crashes is a plus. But yet, when you take a look at the citations issued for 2014, we issued over 15,000 citations in this town. That's quite a few citations. So what we did, again, as explained, is we're more focused in attacking violations that are more safety for the public.
So I have a question, because it was recently posed to me by a citizen. Do we issue citations for headlight lamps that are out, or backlight, taillights are out, or is it more of a warning and a fix-it ticket where you come in and show that it's been fixed?
Yes. It's more of a fix-it ticket.
Okay.
It's issued for that. As a matter of fact, the registration, proof of insurance, headlamps, tail lamps, brake lights, most of those are fix-it tickets. Excuse me. Now, the person comes in and shows documentation that they fixed whatever the citation was, other than speeding, etc., then the judge has the obligation or option to dismiss, I want to say option, not obligation. And I qualify that because if a person keeps going before the judge for the same violation, the judge is more likely going to issue some type of fine for that.
So I just want to clarify, so I called it a fix-it ticket, but it's a citation, and it's counted as a citation in the document, correct?
Correct.
Okay, although they don't necessarily get to the point of signing, which is with the judge, so that's not within your purview. And I guess one of the questions is that has been posed by folks to me, has been, why can't it be something where, I guess people kind of freak out a little bit when they hear the word citation, because if it's a headlight that's gone out, they're going to fix it. And so is there any way to do a warning rather than a citation for someone that's the first time ever? Because you all would know that, right?
We wouldn't know that.
You wouldn't know that when you pull over and run their plate?
No.
Huh, okay. I was just wondering, okay.
Yeah, the remedy for those violations is a citation. We cannot follow up on every citation that we issue to make sure that they fix the violation, headlight, tail lamp. So what happens is when they go to the judge, that completes that process and shows that that citation can be dismissed because they took care of the issue.
Thank you. Between, when people move in from somewhere else, like, you get a lot of warnings in California rather than fix-it tickets, but I appreciate the explanation. Thank you.
If one gets a fix-it ticket and doesn't go take care of it, then a warrant will be issued, right? And if next time they're stopped, they can actually be incarcerated.
Yes. And just as an added information, the judge tries to get the individual to come in through issuing a letter to the address that's on the citation prior to issuing a warrant. If the person just doesn't appear, then a warrant will be issued for their arrest. Doesn't make a whole lot of sense. When you have a citation that's just a repair job, get that done and go see the judge. Because in the end, if you don't appear, you could be fined up to $500 when you're arrested. That's an additional charge. The judge is going to charge you for that, and you're going to have to pay money for that. So it's individual responsibility that needs to take care of those citations. They don't want us pulling them over, they're headed someplace, because they didn't go take care of whatever the citation that was issued to them. They end up either getting taken to jail or taken before the judge in cuffs. We don't want to do that any more than they want us to do that. So it's imperative personal responsibility in that area.
Any other questions? Councilor Connor?
Moving down that list of traffic violations to unlawful noises and muffler noise prevention, both of those were only 2 last year. Is that because by the time someone calls, the person's already gone, or because it seems like a lot of people complain to us about noise, but it's not transferring onto that.
Right, quite a few times that happens, that the individual's already gone by the time the officer gets into the area. And it's unfortunate. What we try to get citizens to do is get a description of the vehicle if they can, get a license plate so we can follow up on it.
Any other questions by the Chief Rowe? Councilor Amos Smith?
Chief, thank you for your report. I have some questions that are not specifically, I think, reflected in your statistics. Are you going to be doing more report, or?
I'll be doing more report.
Okay, then I will hold my questions until you're... Thank you.
Moving on. Reported forcible rapes dropped by 9 from 10 in 2015. According to investigations, all cases reported to the police department showed the suspect was either a family member or an acquaintance of the victim. There was no stranger-on-stranger criminal sexual penetrations or contacts. Assaults increased by 23, 199, compared to 176 in 2015. There were 211 in 2014. Aggravated assaults decreased by 9, 33 compared to 42 in 2015. There were 45 in 2014. Now I want to qualify this. Assaults also mean simple batteries. The aggravated assaults also mean aggravated batteries. So there's actually 4 categories, but it's lumped into 2 different categories. Burglaries decreased by 9 from 145 in 2015 to 136 in 2016. There were 149 in 2014. As a side note, page 6 of your documentation shows trends from 2007 all the way to present. The breakdown of burglaries is shown on page 4, if you refer to page 4. Residential burglaries were reported at 80 for 2016 compared to 95 in 2015. Business burglaries reported at 57 in 2016 compared to 50 in 2015. On page 2 in the middle, you will find the approximate number of residents and businesses along with the percentage associated with the number of burglaries. Residential, with approximately 4,146 households, showed a 2.29% burglary rate. 2015 was 2.31. Businesses with approximately 1,300 businesses showed a 3.85% burglary rate. 2015 was 4.08%. Damage to vehicles saw an increase in 2016, 145 compared to 127 in 2015. It was a 14.17% increase. 2014 was at 196. Other criminal damage saw a decrease from 177 to 162. 8.47% decrease. In 2014, there was 226. Other areas of concern, animal complaints decreased, as I covered. I won't cover that again. Citations issued for animals, talked about. Reported crashes were down by 7.77% from 2015, 439 to 476. This is total crashes, both roadway and private property. For further information, please refer to page 4.
What page?
If you'll take a look at the second to the last section on page 4, you'll see the breakdown. According to the information, there was 328 roadway crashes and 109 reported private property. There was slightly less accidents with injuries this year. We had 65 noted injuries and 1 fatality for a total of 66. 1 fatality was a pedestrian. Any questions on that?
Any questions?
Driving while under the influence dropped from 70 to 38 for a 45.71% decrease. I want to make note statewide in querying other departments. They've also had a decrease in the number of DWIs. Page 5 is another noteworthy page that contains other calls for service, some activities by the officers. If you want to take a moment, take a look at that. I'd be happy to answer any questions you have on that.
Councilor Benson?
And under citizen contacts, if I remember correctly, last year we had one of your officers present us with some statistics. Are you still taking those, sort of statistics in terms of how the contact is?
Yes.
And, okay.
It'll be at the last part of my report.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
As a matter of fact, we're there. If you guys go to the last 2 pages of your handout. If you take a look at the documents provided, the no-issue complaints are positive, again, was the highest response from individuals that had citizen contacts with our officers. Again, explaining citizen contacts, our officers are required on day shift and evening shift to do 5 contacts a month with citizens other than enforcement. Those officers go out into the neighborhoods, go in the downtown area, go to businesses, and make contact and query if the individuals see any issues, problems that they'd like to pass on to us. So in the breakdown, no issues or complaint or positive comments were 333. The next category was frequent patrol at 88, traffic 78, procedural questions at 28, homeless at 25, property crimes at 22, drugs at 15, noise at 10, animals at 8, roadway sidewalks at 8. Now, if we receive any information on sidewalk issues, roadway issues, potholes, those go straight up to the appropriate department. It could be something to do with utilities as well, and we'll forward those off. If we have any complaints, if somebody sees something that is happening in the county and it's noted, we'll also pass it on to the county. So this is kind of a wide-ranging document that we use. I also included the 2015 as a comparison. Any questions on that?
Councilor Smith?
Thank you. And thank you, Chief. So this actually does tie into one of my questions, which was specifically about community-oriented policing programs and actions. So if I'm understanding it correctly, one of the actions that's been taken that's really been initiated in the last few years is to actively encourage our officers to engage in a much more just citizen-friendly behavior. Is that correct?
Correct.
Am I correct in that?
And I want to make comment. I started this program back in about 2008, 2009, in developing this, but we've taken it a little bit further because we were using it as an internal document. So the last couple of years, what we've done is now put this information out to the public, the council, and the officers as well to see where there's potential issues. We get a lot of complaints about speeding in the traffic category. There's a lot of requests for more patrol because of traffic violations that are perceived or will are perceived by individuals. So those are categories that we create frequent patrol and target areas. Other areas along the lines of community policing, again, I want to push neighborhood watches. That it's very important for our community to be involved in their safety as well. One of the mechanisms for that is neighborhood watches. I invite them to put together neighborhood watches in their respective areas. We will be a part of that. And again, neighborhood watches are sustained by the group of people in that area. We assign liaisons to those neighborhood watches. The problem that I've seen in the past is that once the issue goes away, then generally the neighborhood watch program disappears. There's added benefits to keeping a neighborhood watch program going. As an example, Cherry Hills, which has a Facebook, communicates with each other in that area on specific issues that they see. And it's not necessarily with us. It may be spotting garbage in the area that they want to have addressed, and then they contact the appropriate agency to deal with that. It also is an avenue to deal with streets, sidewalks, any issues that you perceive that are within your boundaries of your neighborhood watch can be brought forth to the appropriate department. So it's not just to impact crime, it's to increase safety in your area in various ways. So we're trying to push that again. I push it every year. We just don't have the takers. Prime example, Yucca Street area. Yucca, Juniper, Cactus Street. That's a really prime area for a great neighborhood watch.
I know, they have a little email system that they have set up that I've heard about. But actually, if you don't mind, let's discuss that a little bit, because what you have proposed is not just a neighborhood crime watch, but rather a neighborhood organizing effort to improve all kinds of things in the neighborhoods.
Correct.
And I know that when we were working on the bicycle master plan, there was a lot of discussion from other communities about neighborhood traffic management and various kinds of actions that neighborhoods have put together with their police for traffic management issues. And since speeding in neighborhoods and loud things in neighborhoods are a thing that I hear about, it sounds like you're suggesting a real citizen neighborhood development possibility. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, well, I like that.
We'll push that more.
Yeah.
The one thing that I'd also like to see happen this year is that we go back to doing some district meetings and trying to get a little more involvement. We want our community involved with our department. We have an open door. You can come in and talk to us about issues. You can call me, and I'll give you my phone number, which is my direct number, 956-1243. Call me. Don't hesitate, because if we don't build that bridge with our community, we're going to fail. And we're going to continue to see these issues that I'm presenting tonight. I would love to see the burglaries a lot less. We can't do it alone. We need, and I will say this, in reviewing some of the calls for service, I have seen the citizens have been calling in a lot more on suspicious persons, suspicious vehicles. So that's a plus. But we can always do better.
Okay, well, thank you. That's encouraging. And I promise when I initiate my next conversation with a counselor, we will be in touch, and maybe you can be one of the speakers. Thank you.
One thing I do want to cover, the question that was asked about speeding. We have a lot of speeding in this town. It's kind of a catch-me-if-you-can attitude. People pay more attention when there's an officer around. We could be issuing hundreds, if not thousands, of citations, just like we showed in 2014, with the violations and the traffic. It also goes back to and I know I'm going to get yelled at. It goes back to personal responsibility. Pay attention to your driving. Don't be on your cell phone. We're not perfect. We understand that. But the remedy for it is also an officer stopping you. The officer's not there to argue with you. He's there to do his job, do it professionally, issue the citation. The venue for an argument is before a judge who is a neutral party. So please, the officer is there to do his job. He's not there to be belittled, harassed. Allow him to do his job. If you feel that that's not, if you didn't do the violation, there's a venue for it, which is court. Getting back to the speeding, we have a lot. We have a lot of different violations in our community. Today, I'm driving in an unmarked vehicle. As an example, a guy driving fairly fast up Hudson Street cuts through the parking lot of the Chevron, right there at the corner of College. That's a violation, just to get away from having to go through that traffic light. That's dangerous. And at the speed he went through that, I couldn't get around in time to try and get his license plate. So individual responsibility plays a large part.
Councilor Benson?
I have a couple questions. I guess the first one is, could you help me, what is the number of distracted driving? Do we separate out texting, or do we just put it under distracted driving? I'm just trying to figure out where it is. Page 11. Page 11?
Let me find it, and I can tell you what it falls under.
Where is it? Right there.
If you go to page 11 and take a look at texting while driving, we actually categorize that under distracted driving.
Okay.
So it's the last one in the line. We issued 57. And just as an added note, we also have grants that we pay overtime for officers to be out and do nothing but enforcement on specific violations. This is one of them. Safer New Mexico provides us, I believe it was close to $5,000 to do impact. We also have funds for DWI. We have funds for seatbelt and traffic enforcement.
And do you separate, not just texting, but do you separate out the fact that they're using the phone up to their ear or it's in their hand? Because, remember that was the most recent edition that we did that were hands-free?
No, we lump all those in there.
Under the
I'm sure I'll
texting?
change that and break it down further.
Okay, that would be great. I think that there's, as you have noted in previous times you've come before the council, you've noted the fact that when you're in an unmarked vehicle, you see a lot more than you do when you're in a marked, in a marked vehicle, a police vehicle. And it's astounding to me the number of people that I see. And I know that another constant question I get is, why is the state police running there's two, I don't know, there's two areas on Swan that the state police regularly patrol, and they're nailing everybody for texting while driving and one of the stop signs.
And it's a great area.
And it's a great area, but they would like to see our officers there. Yeah. And I thought I would mention that to you, that there's a lot of people drive up and down Swan, and it's a great area, but we have the state cops sitting there rather than our cops. And I know that you all work together, but I think they just, it's a different thing, because I think that our ordinance for the hands-free ordinance is stiffer than the state's.
Correct.
due to Counselor Ray. Yeah.
I'm sorry, I do want to qualify that. I apologize.
No, that's fine.
If you take a look at the number of calls for service that we have, the broken down categories, I appreciate the state police doing the enforcement. I appreciate the county when they do enforcement within our jurisdiction, because that also helps in public safety. If you take a look at the number of citations and traffic stops that have happened compared to previous, we've drastically cut them. We spend more time in neighborhoods now simply trying to unpack the quality of life issues, which are burglaries, larcenies, theft from yards, etc. So we, quite frankly, if you take a look at in its totality, our department stays very busy. Our officers are moving quite a bit, handling calls for service, impacting and doing self-initiated activities. So that's 27,000. Part of those self-initiated activities is also traffic enforcement. So these guys earn their money.
Well, I think that there's no indication that they aren't doing their job. It's just that they kind of want to see our guys. But the fact that you're more in the neighborhoods is something that I would tell you that citizens also talk about, and they greatly appreciate the fact that there are more of our officers, just making sure the neighborhoods are being safe, and that, that they're responding to the calls that people have concerns with, an unknown vehicle, because people know if there's something that's not normal to the area, or if it's someone that they see kind of poking around, looking at people's backyards, and y'all show up. So I would just say, there was not to say that our officers are not doing their job. They just wanted to know why state police was there more often than ours, and I think that your explanation that you're more in the areas, the residential areas, which is what we appreciate as well. So it's just, people just why are the state cops here? We want them to be out on the highway it's just, there's people that would rather see our officers, that's all. It's not that they're not doing their job. And I think the last thing that I want to bring to attention is you provide us with all these statistics, and you've done this every year. And one of the things that I hear on an annual basis, and if it's not right around when you present, I also hear it at different times, Silver City has the highest crime rate in the state of New Mexico. And I just would like you to address that quickly and efficiently about the fact that our crime rate is not the highest in the state of New Mexico. It's when people misuse our statistics that it appears to be such. Correct?
Correct.
Thank you.
Let's take a look at page 3 of your documentation. Anytime the uniform crime reporting, and I'll cover this in a second, but I'm going to give you an explanation. The FBI uniform crime reporting is based on an elevated to 100,000 population. The document that you have there is what I put together at our current population and projected daily service population. So the biggest one, again, that if you take a look at 2016, the biggest one again is larceny. 5.24% of the population was impacted by larcenies out of that 10,000. So if you go to a service population, it's a little bit less on there. If you go down through there, the next one that is a concern is the 1.99, which is assaults. So I gotta say, our stats don't show that we're a violent or crime-ridden community. There it is, right there.
What's important to note is that when the FBI, they're comparing to actual population in a community. Okay, so our population is 10,000, so you multiply it times 10 compared to a municipality of 100,000 people. The problem is that our population is 10,000 people, yet we serve more than 20,000 people a day in our community. You have people in and out of this community all day long, a lot more than most communities our size. So our actual service size of a community is more in the range of 20,000 people. We serve over 18,000 residents directly with water, with our utility. So how can you not more compare us to rather than multiplying our stats by 10, multiply them times 5 to get a more adequate comparison. And still, even when you look at what Ed's talking about, most of our crime is of a less violent nature and these types of things. So it's important that you can't make a apples to apples comparison using those stats. And then a lot of these websites, they just take that number and they're trying to compare apples to oranges. So, it's not fair when they use those types of stats to do that.
Well, and I appreciate both of you speaking to it, because once again, I just really would hope that our local news organizations take it for what we're providing is we're not covering anything up. We're providing the actual stats for our 10,000 population and then a service population, and that when these other statistics are inflated the way they are, that becomes the problem. That's not the story. The story is what our chief is presenting right now, today. And I would just hope that would be the headliner, is that we are not crime-ridden. I shouldn't move there because it's crime-ridden, and you're going, but I don't know what you're basing that on. Well, these are the statistics, and they're real. And this is the fact. It shows that we're not. And our offices and our department are doing a great job.
Yeah. And we'll post this information on the town website so everybody can see it. The one thing I also want to add to that, we stopped sending the reports into the FBI because of this issue. They elevate, and it looks that Silver City is crime-ridden based on that. We haven't done it for probably 4 years. In conversation with one of the captains with the state police, the last report that they used, they were able to get a couple more officers down to this area because of that. City data uses the FBI UCR for their documentation. FBI also does a disclaimer. This is not to be used as a indicator of crime in a community. So, I'm trying to pick my words, and I'm going to do it. But bad sells.
Right.
If you understand what I'm saying.
Fake news.
If you look at nationally, what sells papers?
Well, I just want to thank you, and before I let go, I just want to say I want to thank you and your officers for their prompt response to recent citizen inquiries that I've passed on. Thank you. They thank you, the folks that passed them on to me, and I passed them on to you. Thank you for that. And I just want folks to know that if you call the chief, if you call one of your council members and ask them to talk with the chief, things will get done. I don't think that they will not get done. So thank you, Ken.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions from the council?
I just have a little bit more, if you don't mind.
Okay.
Some of the areas that we are looking at to continue doing, of course, citizen contacts. One thing that most people don't know is we do regular visits to the schools. Our officers walk through the schools in the morning and in the afternoon. We vary the schools. They make contacts with the kids, talk to the kids, just ensure safety. Downtown Foot Patrol and Bike Patrol, want to discuss that real quick. Everyone knows that Ephraim Hannes, one of our bike patrol officers, has been sick. He's kind of turned the bend. He's doing a lot better. He's on light duty now. We're hoping within the next 3 or 4 months he's able to start getting back into shape to get back on the job. He's the one bike patrol officer, and Sergeant Jason Woods is the other one. Sergeant Woods is now in charge of the shift. He will probably be limited in the amount of time that he spends on the bike. We're going to look to getting a couple more officers certified as bike officers this year, probably starting in the spring. We have to send them off for a week course, either Phoenix. The last couple of times it's been Phoenix, Mesa, Arizona. The other thing, participating in town-sanctioned activities to ensure the safety of the public. By that I mean the activities in the park, downtown, or added patrols to ensure safety. Again, I would love to have sponsorship from each counselor to do district meetings. We'll provide personnel where I will attend it. I know you get tired of seeing me and listening to me. I'll have other officers attend those so they can have different information, or same information but a different face. Any other questions?
Thank you, Chief Reynolds. We appreciate it. Okay, did you have a question? Oh, I'm sorry, Councilor Wynn had a question.
It's not a question, it's just a comment that I made to you to see if you were looking to Cooper and Broadway. What stop sign is that? To see if it was feasible to go 2 stops out, one vehicle going down.
Okay.
You want to take a look at it? Okay. Okay, because I've had some inquiries about that. There's too many people that are going too far into towards the courthouse. And the yellow line is, and they're going with the roadway. And it might cause an accident there.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you, Chief Reynolds. I appreciate it.
You bet. I want to thank the Mayor, the Council, Mr. Brown, Mr. Marshall for your support and guidance during this last year. I also want to thank the community for their support for the department and the officers. Last year was a rough year for us, and the support given was tremendous. As always, the men and women of the Silver City Police Department, sworn and civilian, will continue to work hard and strive for excellence in the performance of their duties. Members of the department strive to make Silver City as safe a place as we can for citizens to enjoy life and raise a family. Thank you.
Thank you. The last item on the agenda is 11A, under new business, the approval/disapproval of election workers for the regular municipal election to be held on March the 7th, 2017. Ann?
Mayor and Councilors, I'm requesting your approval of our list of workers for the March 7th election. Most of them have worked elections before. We've got a few new ones in the alternate list. All of them plan to attend the election school on March 2nd.
Any questions for Ann? Do I hear a motion? Councilman Smith?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move to approve the list of election workers for the regular municipal election on March 7th, 2017.
Thank you. We have a motion. Is there a second?
Mr. Mayor, I second the motion stated.
Councilor Benison? Any discussion? Any questions or comments from the audience? We have a motion as read and a second. And roll call, please.
Counselor Benison?
Aye.
Counselor Amon Smith?
Aye.
Counselor Ray? Counselor Cotton?
Motion carries unanimously. This concludes the business of the town of Silver City. Do I hear a motion?
Mr. Mayor,
Councilor Benison?
I move to adjourn.
We have a motion to adjourn. Is there a second?
Mr. Mayor, I second that motion.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. The meeting is adjourned.